The Las Vegas Raiders just got great news, and in the year 2025, I'll take all the great news I can get. The Las Vegas Raiders have fired special teams coach Tom McMahon. Coming up here on this show, I'm going to tell you why the Raiders decided to make that move, and then at the very end of the program, I'm going to tell you who the new interim special team coach is going to be and what I think about the Raiders going in that direction. But this is why you subscribe. This is why you turn on your notifications. I was live earlier today. We were literally breaking it all down. My number one message when I went live about an hour ago: we need change. My number one message, the video that I put out bright and early this morning on Friday: we need to fire Tom McMahon. Mark Davis, I tip my cap to you. I appreciate that you watch this show. I know you watch this show. And I'm glad that you actually stood on business today and decided to make a change. But when breaking news happens, I'm going to break it down for you guys here. Make sure you're subscribed. We don't take off days here. We bring commitment to excellence. So Rap Sheet was the very first one to be breaking this news down that the Raiders have fired special teams coordinator Tom McMahon. A significant move after last night's loss. McMahon and Coach Pete Carroll had words on the sidelines. But it wasn't only about them just having words on the sidelines. It's not just about Thursday night football. And I know the entire world got to see how bad and how embarrassing the Raiders underneath Pete Carroll are. But the Raiders special teams unit under Tom McMahon this season has been one of the worst special teams units in all of the National Football League. The Raiders right now are on pace to break the single season record for most missed tackles by a special teams unit. And it's really not close. Daniel Carlson is clearly the worst Daniel Carlson that I have seen since he's joined the Silver and Black. A.J. Cole had a good game against Denver, no doubt about it. Was great on Thursday night. But he also is having a career worst year from a punting standpoint. So you got your kick return game. You first try to trot out Zamir White. Now, luckily, you're starting to get it right with Raheem Mostert. But my point is, Tom McMahon made a decision to put Zamir White ahead of Raheem Mostert. That's a decision. Then you look at the entire unit from start to finish this season. It's been horrific on special teams. I don't know how many penalties, how many flags this unit has caused this year, but I feel like every single time, and like the video if you agree with this statement, I feel like every single time the Raiders special teams unit does something, I see laundry out there on the field, and it's yellow laundry, and there's a flag. Tom McMahon needed to go. But when the Raiders hired McMahon, you can go check out my videos in 2022. I said he's not a good special teams coach. And he's not a good special teams coach because you know what's really hard to do? Get fired. And you know what's really hard to do? Get fired from your job, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, not 6 times. This man has been fired from every special teams job that he has had, and it's been a quick fire. He was fired by the Raiders. He was fired by the Broncos, fired by the Colts, fired by the Chiefs, fired by the Rams, fired by the Falcons, and he was fired by Louisville. Like, all I'm saying is this: when you've been let go by that many different organizations, it's probably because you're meant to do something else. So what I want to know down below, what's your one-word reaction to the firing of Tom McMahon? My one-word reaction is going to be coming up here after this YouTube ad break. Hallelujah is my one word, and hallelujah, and I feel relieved, and I feel like, honestly, the Raiders got my message loud and clear. And I feel like that and I know Mark Davis watches this show. I know he watches this show. And you might think I'm a clown for saying that. I think today is the ultimate proof that Mark Davis watches this show. The video we put out earlier today, fire this bum. When your special teams unit is bad, a lot of times it's because it's a poorly coached unit. But I also am happy because it shows me that the Raiders aren't just going to sit back and be bad. And I know some people out there want this team to tank. I don't want the team to tank. I want this team to get it going in the right direction because I want good coaches. I want good players. I want this to be a franchise that teams look at and they go, that's a place I want to go work for. I would love to work for the Las Vegas Raiders. I would run laps around a lot of guys that are employed right now by that organization. And I know that that term commitment to excellence doesn't mean a lot to some people. It means a lot to me. And I'm telling you, Mark Davis, you want to get this team straightened out? At Mitchell Renz 365. You have my phone number. Let's contact it. Coming up next year, who is replacing Tom McMahon? Who's going to be the guy that's going to step in and be the new interim special teams coach? I thought that there might have been 3 names, and I could still tell you everybody that I thought could get the job. But since the Raiders now have officially named their new interim special teams coach, I'm going to start it off with that. Before I do, though, huge shout out to our sponsor, PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. Let's face the fact here, even though the weather is changing, being right, it still feels great when you're right. And I don't know about y'all, I love trying to get some picks in. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. And even though the weather is changing, that feeling of being right, that never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right, and you know what? I was right when I said Tom McMahon was going to be the very first Raiders coach fired. If you don't believe me, go look at the video I did 2 weeks ago. Go look at the video I did 3 weeks ago. The Raiders were going to fire McMahon because you need a fall guy. And you know you're not going to fire Chip. You know you're not going to fire PG. So even though the special teams unit at times I thought did okay, for the most part this season, though, it was a really, and I mean really, bad unit. So the potential replacements that I thought right before when I put everything together, I looked at Chugs and I said, I think if the Raiders are going to replace McMahon with anybody, it's either going to be Joe Philbin, who's got some special teams experience, Kade Rannings, or Derius Swinton II. Obviously, I thought it was going to be between Rannings or Swinton, though there were some actual conversations around Philbin before. I'm not saying recently, but before. And they're going to go with Derius Swinton is going to be the brand new Raiders special teams coach. And Swinton enters his 3rd season with the Las Vegas Raiders as the assistant special teams coach, his 15th season in the NFL. In 2024, Swinton helped A.J. Cole finish the season with a league high and single-season career best 50.8 gross punting average, as well as finishing 7th in the league in net punting average. Cole also set a career high in punts of 60-plus yards with 17, the second most in the NFL in 2024. He also saw Daniel Carlson become just the 15th player in NFL history to reach 800 career points in his first 7 NFL seasons. Carlson finished the season making 34 of 40 field goals, 23 of 25 extra points with Swinton's assistance. The special teams unit also finished 5th in the NFL with kickoff return average of 29.6. When you move on from your special teams coach, it is a clear sign of, I am not okay with the way things are going. That's why my one-word answer is hallelujah. That's why I feel relieved as a Raiders fan, because my biggest concern with this staff was that we were going to go right back into the Josh McDaniels tricks of the trade, where it's like, I don't care if you're doing a bad job. I'm just going to keep you around because I'm just going to keep you around. And what I will not accept is failure. And for anybody out there, it's like, Mitch, it's only been 10 weeks. It hasn't been 10 weeks, guys. These coaches were hired. The staff has been working together since February. And the minute details that this team makes on offense, on defense, obviously on special teams, on a weekly, daily basis is the epitome of poor coaching. You need good coaching to have good special teams. And I just don't think Tom McMahon was good at it. And he hasn't been good at it because everywhere he has gone, he's been let go from that line of duty. So I know that McMahon is a person that's been a part of this organization from 2022, but he was also brought in for Ziegler and McDaniels. And I'm just happy that we finally are moving on. I know that we're still probably wondering what other moves could the Raiders potentially make, But I do think because this move is being made, I think you're going to see some other moves that could happen. I don't know if it's going to be a benching of a Geno Smith type of move, but you got 10 days, 11 days to be able to figure it out until you go up against the Dallas Cowboys, against the world again on Monday Night Football. Mark Davis, I'm sure, did not love being embarrassed against his division rival and have his team, his league, not team, literally his team being a mockery on all NFL media outlets out there. Here's the thing, though. This is what the Raiders have looked like all season long. And I think what the really big question is this a warning shot at Pete Carroll? And I think you have to wonder it, right? I think if you're Patrick Graham, you got to wonder, is my job safe? I think if you're Chip Kelly, you got to wonder, is my job safe? And I know that Pete Carroll's job is safe, but I also think Mark Davis is making a very, very loud and a very clear distinction here of, listen here, I hired you to win. We are 2-7. We're the laughingstock of the NFL yet again, and it's because this team is a poorly coached team. I hope that everybody sees that you can lose your job and that if you're not doing your job well, quite frankly, you should be fired. We got over 1,000 people here in the building on the Raiders Report. And when breaking news happens, I'm going to do everything in my power to give you guys that news. I'm going to be live here for another 30 minutes. So if you want to pull up, you want to get loud, you want to get rowdy, pull up here to the Raiders Report. Let's get after it.